Training. The woman leads Ruby to the box and she places an apple inside. "Good girl, Ruby," she says kindly. "Don't be afraid." Ruby inspects the box with her trunk. The woman makes a clicking sound with a little piece of metal she is holding in her hand. She gives Ruby a piece of carrot. Each time Ruby touches the box, she gets a click and a treat. "Why is she making that clicking noise?" I ask Bob. "They do that to dogs all the time," Bob says. "I can tell he doesn't approve. It's called clicker training. They want Ruby to associate the noise with the treat. When she does something they make that noise." "Great job, Ruby," the woman says. "You're a quick study." After many clicks and carrots, she takes Ruby back to her cage. "Why is the lady giving me carrots when I touch the box?" Ruby asked me. "I think she wants you to go inside," I explain. "But there's nothing inside," Ruby says, "except an apple." "Inside that box," I say, "is the way out." Ruby tilts her head. "I don't get it. See the picture of the red giraffe on the box? I think the lady is from the zoo. Ruby, I think she's getting ready to take you there." I wait for Ruby to trumpet with joy, but instead she stares at the box in silence. "I'm not sure you understand. That box might be taking you to a place where there are other elephants," I say. "A place with more room and humans who care about you." But even as I say these words, I remember with a shudder the last box I was in. "I don't want a zoo," Ruby says. "I want you and Bob and Julia. This is my home." "No, Ruby," I say, "this is your prison." Poking and prodding. The lady comes again and she brings an animal doctor with an awful smell and a dangerous looking bag. He spends an hour with Ruby poking and prodding. He looks at her eyes, her feet, her trunk. When he's done with Ruby, he enters my cage. I wish I could hide under not tag like Bob. Instead, I do a nice loud chest beat, and after a moment, the doctor retreats. "We're going to need to put this one under," he says. I'm not quite sure what he means, but I strut around my cage feeling victorious anyway. No painting. No one asks me to paint today. No one asks Ruby to perform. There are no shows, no visitors, unless you count the protesters. And Mac stays in his office all day. More boxes. I wake up from a long morning nap and Bob is on my belly, but he isn't asleep. He's watching the ring where 4 men are placing a large metal box. It's me-sized. "What's that?" I ask, still blurry from sleep. Bob nuzzles my chin. "I believe that box is for you, my friend." I'm not sure what he means. "Me?" "They brought in a bunch of boxes while you were sleeping. Looks to me like they're taking the whole lot of you," he says, casually licking a paw. "Even Thelma." "Taking?" I repeat. "Taking us where?" "Well, some to the zoo, probably. Others to an animal shelter where humans will try to find them homes." Bob shakes himself. "So I guess all things come to an end, huh?" His voice is bright, but his eyes are far away and sad. "I'm gonna miss your stomach, big guy." Bob shuts his eyes. He makes an odd noise in his throat. But what about you?" I ask. I can't tell if Bob's just pretending to sleep, but he doesn't answer. I gaze at the huge shadowy box, and I suddenly understand how Ruby feels. I don't want to go into that box. The last time I was in a box, my sister died. Goodbye. When George and Julia come that night, George doesn't get his mop or broom. He gathers up his tools and belongings while Julia runs to my cage. "This is my last night, Ivan," she says, and she presses her palm to my glass. "Mac fired my dad." Tears slip down her cheeks. "But the zoo lady said maybe they'll have an opening there in a while, cleaning cages and stuff." I walk to the glass that separates us. I put my hand where Julia's is, palm to palm, finger to finger. My hand is bigger, but they're not so very different. "I'm going to miss you," Julia says. "And Ruby and Bob?" But this is a good thing. Really, you deserve a different life. I stare into her dark eyes and I wish I had words for her. Sniffling, she goes to Ruby's cage. Have a good life, Ruby, she says. Ruby makes a little rumbling sound. She puts her trunk between the bars and touches Julia's shoulder. Where is Bob anyway? Julia asks. She looks around under tables, in my cage, by the trash. Dad? She calls. Have you seen Bob? Bob? Nope, George says. Julia's brow wrinkles. What's going to happen to him, Dad? What if Max shuts down the whole mall? He says he's going to try to keep it open without the animals. George says he stuffs his hands in his pockets. I'm worried about Bob too, but he's a survivor. You know what, Dad? Julia gets a gleam in her eyes. Bob could live with us. Mom loves dogs and he could keep her company and... Jules, I'm not even sure I have a job yet. I'm not even be able to feed you, let alone some mutt. Dad, my dog walking money. Sorry, Jules. Jules nods. I understand. She starts to leave and they run back to my cage. I almost forgot. This is for you, Ivan. And she slips a piece of paper into my cage. It's a drawing of Ruby and me. We're eating yogurt raisins. Ruby's playing with another baby elephant. And I'm holding hands with a lovely gorilla. She has red lips and a flower in her hair. I look as I always do in Julia's pictures, like an elegant fellow, but something is different about this drawing. In this picture, I am smiling. Click! The door to my cage is propped open and I can't stop staring at it. My door, open. The giant box has been moved and it's open too. The humans have pushed it up against my doorway. If I walk through my door, I enter their box. The zoo lady, whose name is Maya, is here again. Click, yogurt raisin. Click, tiny marshmallow. Click, ripe papaya. Click, apple slice. Hour after hour, click after click, I look out over at Ruby. She waits to see what I will do. I touch the box. I sniff the dark interior where a ripe mango waits. Click, click, click. I have to do it. Ruby is watching me from between the bars of her cage, and this box is the way out. I step inside. An idea. After I leave the box and I step back into the cage, I get an idea, a good one. I tell Bob he can sneak into my box with me and live at the zoo. Have you forgotten? I'm a wild beast, Ivan, he says, sniffling the floor for crumbs. I am untamed and undaunted. Bob samples a piece of celery and spits it out. Besides, they'd notice humans are dumb, but they're not that dumb. Respect. Ivan, Ruby says, do you think the other elephants will like me? I think they'll love you, Ruby. You'll be part of their family. Do you think the other gorillas will like you, Ruby asks. I'm a silverback, Ruby, a leader. I pull back my shoulders and hold my head high. They don't have to like me, they have to respect me. Even as I tell her this, I wonder if I can even command their respect. I haven't had much practice at being a real gorilla, much less a silverback. Do you think the other elephants will know any jokes? If they don't, I tell her, you could teach them. Ruby flaps her ears, flicks her tails. You know what, Ivan? What, I ask. I think I'm going to go in the box tomorrow. I gaze at her fondly. I think that's a good idea, and I think Stella would have agreed. Do you think the other elephants will know how to play tag? I love tag. Me too, I say, and I think of my nimble sister racing through the brush, always just out of my reach. Photo. Late at night, Mac opens my cage. The full moon falls on his sagging shoulders. He seems smaller somehow. Bob, instantly alert, leaps off my stomach and dives under, not tag. Don't bother hiding, dog, Mac says. I know you sleep in here. Mac settles onto my tire swing. Might as well stay one more night. Your buddy's leaving tomorrow. Tomorrow? My stomach drops. I'm not ready. I need more time. I haven't said my goodbyes. I haven't thought this through. Mac pulls a small photo out of his pocket. It's me when I was young. Mac and I are in the front seat of his convertible. I'm wearing a baseball cap and eating an ice cream cone. I was a handsome lad. But I have to admit, I look ridiculous. Nothing like a real gorilla. We had some laughs, didn't we, Guy? Mac says. Remember when we went on that roller coaster, or the time I tried to teach you play baseball? Mac shakes his head, chuckling. You had a lousy jump shot. He stands, sighs, look around. He puts the photo back in his pocket. Going to miss you, Ivan, he says, and then he leaves, and he doesn't look back.